Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Frank Gutenberg, and today we have a very special guest on the show, who is the extraordinary astronomer by the name of Johannes Kepler. Thanks for having me on the show. I am a large fan of the broadcast, and I am very obliged to share my life experiences and accomplishments with everyone today. Thank you very much for coming onto the show. So, Mr. Kepler, please tell us about yourself.
Well, the journey started at 1 p.m. on December 27, 1571, in the town of Wildenstadt in the state of Württemberg, situated in the southern area of the Holy Roman Empire of Germany. My early life was very hard for me. My parents were very poor, and I relied on my academic talent to earn myself a scholarship at the University of Tübingen to study the Lutheran ministry. Throughout my time at university, I was introduced to the ideas of Copernicus and became interested in his works. 25 years later, I became a mathematics teacher in Graz, which is the second largest city in Austria. Throughout my stay at Graz, I decided to write a book called Mysterium Cosmographicum. I eventually decided to head further north in the hopes that I could get a job in Prague with Tycho Brahe. He had just been hired as the imperial mathematician to the Holy Roman Emperor and had similar skills as myself.
I've read your book, Mysterium Cosmographicum. Can you tell the audience more about it?
Well, you see, since my book refers to the secrets of the universe, I had proposed that the distance relationships between the six known planets could be understood in terms of the five Platonic solids, which go in this order: tetrahedron, cube, octahedron, dodecahedron, and icosahedron, which are enclosed within a sphere that represented the orbit of Saturn.
Ah, yes, I see. So you stated earlier you wished to head further north to get a job in Prague with Tycho Brahe. Could you tell us more about him, and did you end up getting the job?
Yes, I did get the job with Tycho, and my first task was to calculate a more precise orbit for the planet Mars. I thought it would take a few months to figure things out, but it took much longer. I worked for Tycho for about a year and a half, but when Tycho died in the fall of 1601, I inherited his position as imperial mathematician, and then it became my job to write horoscopes for the Holy Roman Emperor, and to calculate more precise orbits for the planets. It took 5 years, but I finally figured out why astronomers have been puzzled by the orbits of the planets for over 1,000 years. People thought things in the universe were perfect, and that the most perfect shape was the circle. So people thought all orbits had to be perfect circles. But that is not how things really work in space. Orbits are oval-shaped. You may already know this, but in mathematics, an oval is called an ellipse. Once you know that orbits are elliptical and not circular, it's not too difficult to calculate where the planets or even comets will be in a month, or a year, or a century. Based on this new idea of elliptical orbits, I was able to discover what you know today as Kepler's 3 laws of planetary motion.
Were there any other discoveries which you have made that are worth mentioning?
I believe there are a few more worth mentioning, yes. I studied the human eye and figured out what had caused people to be short and long-sighted. I also figured out that when a ray of light goes through a piece of curved glass, like a lens, it will bend. I also studied Galileo's telescope and suggested ways to improve its design.
Did you know Galileo by chance?
Yes, I did know the man, but we never met. We did exchange letters, however. When Galileo discovered that Jupiter had moons, he wrote a book and became very famous. I was one of the first people to receive one of his books, and within 10 days I wrote a small book of my own supporting his discovery. I was the first scholar to support Galileo and his discoveries.
Ah, yes, I see. I'd like to ask you one more question, Johannes. Do you believe your work has had an impact on today's society?
Yes, Frank, I believe my work has strongly impacted the way in which we interpret space and our understanding of the universe. I believe my inventions and discoveries helped people in creating more sophisticated pieces in the future, and I believe that my theories will assist in the research for future scientists.
This is Frank Gutenberg reporting from Berlin via radio transmission, and I've been talking to Johannes Kepler about his life from the years 1571 to 1630. Thank you, Mr. Kepler.
Thank you, Frank. It was a pleasure, my friend.